semi-final time at the ARC Estonian Open, presented by the City of Tallinn and part of the Predator Eurotour series. On table 2, we have the first men's semi-final. Introducing Tallinn's very own Dennis Graber. And from Germany, playing his first Eurotour semi-final, Yuma Dorna. And on table 1, we have the first of the women's semi-finals. Introducing, from Germany, Pia Fights. Her opponent, from Austria, Sandra Baumgartner. Players, you may lag for the ball.
Well, hello to all our pool fans joining us from around the globe. Welcome to the final day of the Estonian Open, brought to you by Predator. This Eurotour event is 8-ball and is being live streamed from this beautiful Clef Hall in Tallinn, Estonia. We bring you today the ladies' semi-finals, played between Germany's Pia Fights and Austria's Sandra Baumgartner. And my name is Gethin Davis, and joining me in the commentary booth again from the last match is my dear colleague and friend Arya Sorabi. How are you, Arya?
Hi Gethin, good afternoon everyone watching around the world. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. Semi-finals, a very coveted spot in the final, and to have the opportunity to call yourself the champion. Looking forward to this one, Gethin.
Absolutely, and you would have to say, going on the previous Euro Championships that we've had over the past 2 weeks here in the same venue, Pia Fights has been picking up trophies left, right and centre, and you would have to say comes into this semi-final as favourite in my view. However, let's see if Austria's Sandra Baumgartner has anything to say about that, as she has won the lag and gets us off into this race to 8.
Oh yeah, without question, she is definitely the favourite here, but it's still the game of 8-ball. If you can create chances off your break and convert them, of course, you can beat anyone.
Well, part 1 accomplished by Sandra here. She's got a pretty decent spread, however, not the easiest of starters to come through for this 10-ball, and she's maybe just come up a little short than she anticipated. Not really seen her on the TV tables, and they are playing a little differently, so maybe just needs to get used to it a little bit as well.
Yeah, these tables have been played on for well over 12 days, actually 13 days, coming up the 13th day. So they're a bit more reactive, particularly the rails, so both players will need to adapt, although has to be said, Pia has been in every final she's participated, so she definitely know the pace of the table, but doesn't mean she's immune to making errors.
Well, as we see there, the 14 does pass the 1, but Sandra not electing to take it yet. Oh, she's just had another look at it there. From the overhead view, it looked like it may pass, but from here it's definitely tight. She's just come over a little bit, Arya. Is she going to flirt with the 3 ball there?
Well, she will have to. She overdraw the cue ball there, and it just made her life a lot harder just by losing the cue ball there.
Yeah, she just had a look to see if the 8 ball passes into the middle past that 4, so maybe wanting to use it as a blocker. And just took her eye off the pot, you feel?
Well, I wouldn't say that, because she didn't have a full pocket available to her, but all in all, it just all went wrong with the positional side of the shot, and of course making the 14 was already tough.
Pia electing to get into that cluster quickly. She's pushed the 7 ball out, and that's opened up the remaining balls quite nicely. So a good opener for Pia here.
Yeah, right after her first shot, she's developed the table to such a position where all she needs to do right now is to keep control of her cue ball, leave herself a good angle on the next shot, and she's got no real issues at the table so far. All about controlling that cue ball.
Yeah, indeed, Arya, and from that other camera angle, it looks like the 7 and the 1 are going to need to go down into this bottom corner pocket that she's putting this 4 and 5, so may look to develop a nice position on the 6 here to bring the cue ball over to the other side of the table after.
No, she doesn't have to. I thought she can just drop this 5 in for the 7 in the middle. If she leaves anything like a straight or off straight, she can also peel the 1 off right after the 7. Just drop the 5 in, just like so.
Good spot, Arya.
You know, she's got options here, but I'd like to think she'd like to get rid of the 1 prior to the 6, and she's got a great angle here on the 7, as you can see. She's not running away from the 1, and she's actually dropping the cue ball right in the line of playing position on the. Wow. Well, that has gone wrong a little bit, I must say. Right now, I'd rather just drop the 6 in the middle, go up and down for the 1. Well, call the extension. A wise choice, you'd think.
Yeah, this is a tricky 1 ball, and there's not much distance between the 2 here.
Interesting decision she made there on the 7. I thought she could have just dropped it in. Maybe tried to be a bit too perfect on the 1. Yeah. Well, she definitely took on the 1 knowing that it was highly unlikely she would leave her opponent a clear-cut putting chance on the 14. But as the saying goes, she's still at the table with a chance to make something out of this visit.
Yeah, it was interesting that Pia took that one on rather than the 6, but felt that was the right time. She did get good cue ball though, and has left Sandra with a tester. Oh, and she's just missed that and come through the gap, giving Pia ball in hand. So the second prize with the cue ball going safe for Pia has paid dividends here. And Aya and I had a Hill-Hill thriller in our last match on the other TV table just now, and it was becoming quite pertinent that breaking your opponent's break would become more pivotal in this format of 2 breaks per player. As we see Pia Filler take the first rack of this race to 8 against Sandra's break. So Sandra will get to break her second here, but that's a great start for Pia. As we just take a look around the Caliph Arena here, and we see on the other table the local hero Dennis Graber at the table, and he's playing Germany's Yuma Dorner over on our table 2. So Aya, I would say Sandra had a good break in the last and first rack, staying at the table. She's going to need a few more of them, you feel? You will not want to let Pia take too much of a lead. The ref just cleaning the cue ball for Sandra there. So, the second of Sandra's 2 breaks. She trails by 1 rack to 0.
Well, you mentioned previously that we were doing commentary in the other table where the men's finals is taking place, and yeah, that was definitely breaking a lot harder. The layouts so far have not seemed too bad for either of the players.
Well, Sandra is making balls and staying at the table, and that's the most of what you can ask for. And I think she has a nice look at these solids, Arya. With a nice shape on this to get to the 3 ball. She could keep Pia in her chair here. Has that 8 just got in the way?
Yeah, it needs to be careful though. Doesn't want to make silly errors with her cue ball. Pia is good enough without any help from her opponents.
No, but she did elect to take the other solid into the center there and has come straight on this 3, giving her a good opportunity to drag it back along the long rail.
Yeah, so the 1 must pass the 7. This is what she's looking at. Doesn't want to make any contact with the 7, mind you. Yeah, great shot. Got options here. Can draw and cross the table for the 8 in the middle, or if she doesn't want to play anything advantageous with a cue ball, play shape for the 8 in the bottom right corner pocket. Whatever she decides. 8 in the middle is going to be.
Yes, and Sandra Baumgartner showing us a good taste of the skill that has got her to the semi-finals here in Tallinn, and brings the score back to 1 apiece. And next we will see Pia Filler up to break. She will have the next 2 racks to break, and 1 apiece. Are we going to say it this early on, are you? A commentator's allowed to do it. Will we have 2 in a row that go all the way? I'm sure both our players here today will be hoping that it doesn't, and that they are able to win before that, but that last match was great for the fans at home.
Yeah, this is always the case, right? When the finishing line is in sight, the tension tends to double, and also, you know, a lot of small errors and details do matter, you know, in the grand scheme of things.
Ooh. Well, I actually thought that cue ball was tracking towards the middle pocket there, but got bumped out the way. However, I think Pia Phil has been left with a dry break there, and we'll see Sandra get out of her chair.
Yeah, you were right. She didn't hit the first ball flush full on the face. Gives Sandra opportunities here. Solid it seems. 3 in the middle. Probably, well, she's rolled it in. Now she can clear the middle pocket by putting the 1 or the 7 or the 2 first.
I have to say, Aya, a little bit of a dream layout for Sandra here. All of the stripes seem to be out of the way for her, except for the 8 ball, so
yeah, that was a fair shout, Gethin. The 8 is not wide in the open, so be interesting to see how she will solve that little problem. Obviously, she's spoiled for choice, really. She's got many options here. It seems like she's going to use the 6 as the last ball to play shape on the 8, and I don't mind that. Look, drop this one in. 5. Get your cue ball close to the side rail. That way you leave yourself a natural angle to go around the back of the 8, and I think it definitely passes the 11 in the bottom left corner pocket. Seems to be the plan so far.
yep, and just needs to be extra careful on this. The shape for the 8. Using the extension on her cue.
Well, maybe it didn't pass the 11. Doesn't matter. She's left herself nice on the 8 to put it in the top right corner pocket. Just past the pink 12 there. Doesn't need to smash this one in, just drop it in. Pocket speed. Nothing to do with the cue ball, of course.
Yes, Arya. And Sandra makes that long 8-ball to, well, break the serve of Pia and take a 2-1 lead. And this will be exactly what she's looking for at these early stages of the game. And as we just have a little look out further back in the arena to our other table, we're looking at Dennis Graber, the Tallinn home favourite, breaking. And it appears he's getting off to an absolutely fantastic start there, leading against Yuma Dorner from Germany by 3 racks to 1. So fast and furious stuff here in these semi-finals. Pia with her second break of her set, and she will be looking to bring this scoreline back to 2 apiece. Will Sandra get the chance to have anything to say about that? Pia Filler trailing by 2 frames to 1 in this race to 8. Semi-finals.
Two consecutive dry breaks, and you know the smile says it all. I mean, numerous balls threatened to drop, but you know, close or almost means nothing in pool, unfortunately.
Yeah, that 5-ball so desperately wanted to drop, but gravity would not allow. And for the second time in a row off Pia's break, Sandra finds herself at the table, and I wonder if she can deliver what she just delivered in the last rack. Arya.
Straight away she's looking at the combination, I believe. Yep.
Oh, very nice. And if there was any congestion around the 8-ball there, that has now been solved as well. And a side of a 7-ball that needs to be considered. As you see there, the cue ball screwing back into the 8 and just pushing it out of the way of the other 2 solids that she will need to pot.
Well, you said 7-ball. What about the 2-ball? That needs some care and attention as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, Arya. As you can see, the 8-ball hampering that 2 into the obvious pocket. So that will be playing in the back of Sandra's mind here. Oh, dear me. Clearly looking to put a lot of action on that cue ball, and sadly jumped off the table. And an unforced error from Sandra at a point early on in this match where you felt things were really going her way. Oh, that's such a shame, Arya.
Yeah, that is a great chance gone begging. Of course, it's ball in hand. It seems like the 10 is the only ball for the stripes that doesn't go in a clear-cut pocket, but you know, with the ball in hand, that will not be a problem. Interesting, she's taking it up in the left corner pocket. I thought maybe towards the right there's a little less balls in her way for her cueing as far as that is concerned, but as you saw there, that ball was never going to be missed, of course.
think Pia was expecting to be back at the table this soon, judging by what Sandra had in front of her, but that unforced error has given Pia a great chance here to bring the score back to 2 apiece, but there's still a lot of pool left in this rack.
Yeah, from what I've seen from Pia on the matches I had the pleasure of commentating, just much like her husband, she doesn't make too many unforced errors. So that is something to keep an eye out for. Sandra, not in a spot of bother, of course. She's still 2-1 up. This could likely be 2-0, but she can't afford to make silly unforced errors against Pia, because I have a sneaky suspicion she won't make too many errors on her turn.
No, indeed not. And Pia was just having a quick look at the 8 there, just to make sure she was comfortable which pocket she would like to take that in. I was going to say with that angle, maybe she would have tried nudging it, but clearly not. Doesn't need to. How has the 4 come in there, I
don't know, man. It's hard to say if she played position for the 13. If she did, it's not the great shot she's played. Oh, still manages to pot the 13.
Yep.
Now I was about to ask whether the 8 could pass the 2 in the bottom left. The answer is no, but no harm done. She can easily draw her cue ball back towards the left side of the table, off the top rail, using maybe the second rail as well, just like that.
Yeah, and Pia punishing Sandra's mistake there. And as you said, she will not be wanting to make many more if this is the way that Pia will respond. Pia Filler bringing the score back to 2 apiece. However, she now hands over the break to her opponent Sandra, who will have the next 2 breaks. So the scoreline is close. Won't get closer, but Sandra will be looking to take some advantage from this. It's a race to 8.
As you can see from this point forward, the officials will be racking up the balls, so the players, they can just chill out in their seats and wait until the referee has put the balls up, ready for the next rack to be played.
Yeah, and you have to say, I've played in some venues, Aya, but this is up there with one of the prettiest backdrops I've seen. Looks beautiful.
Yes, absolutely. And when you look at the lighting as well in the arena, absolutely flawless.
She's made one.
Yeah, cue ball was close, creeping towards that right center pocket, but she's still at the table. She potted the ball there in the same center pocket, so gets to choose. What would you do, Gethin? Solids or stipes?
That's a very good question. I was actually just waiting for the replay. Thank you very much, production team, just to get a better gauge of where they lay. And Sandra's beaten me to it and has gone for the solids. And if she can deal with this little cluster of 2 now, she could be in a great position to run out from her own break here. However, I don't think she wanted the cue ball to necessarily be that close to the 7. She's still returning to it though.
Yeah, it's one of those where you can just drop it in. Don't have to do anything with the cue ball. And yeah, still dropped. So no harm done. Back in control.
No harm done at all. And she may just elect to come off this 3 ball off the long rail and in between the 4 and 2 there, and all of her options will open up. However, I think she's seen a better route, that being the 7.
Yeah, and from this position it's hard to see her make any silly unforced error.
Not at all. And this will be a great response to Pia bringing it back to all square. Just see a little grimace from Sandra there. But you gotta think she's in pretty decent shape to close this one out, to take the lead again.
Nice little angle here on the 2, just to go up table, enough to pass the 9 to put the 8 in the opposite center pocket. It's all looking bright so far, Gethin.
Yeah, she has to be very delicate here though. Sometimes a little bit of adrenaline can come in the arm. Played it well. Fully expected to close this one out now. And, well, you couldn't ask for it to be closer so far. Well, Sandra Baumgartner regains the advantage and takes a 1 rack lead at 3 racks to 2 in this race to 8, and she will return to the table for her second break of the set. So good signs for Sandra. She's not letting up and she's closing her opportunities, Aya, which is what she's going to need to do against a very fierce opponent in the form of Pia Filler.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we established from the beginning that Pia is the likely favorite in this match. So when you are the underdog, it's all about keeping your composure, converting any chance that comes your way, and basically let the favorite know that I'm here to play, I'm here for a fight, and if you want to win this, you have to do everything within your power to put me aside.
Absolutely. As you see Sandra in her chair there, appearing to be full of focus. She knows what this means. Semi-finals, the Estonian Open. Could this be her event? Well, she's leading against Pia Filler in the semi-finals of 3 racks to 2. This is the second of her set of breaks. Well, I believe she made one. I'm sure if my ears were correct, I heard a ball drop, yes?
Yes, she did. In the center pocket.
Correct. The 3 ball dropping nicely, and Sandra does have options here.
Yeah. I'd be more interested in the stripes, to be honest with you.
I would agree as well. That 6 ball is just cutting off the obvious pocket to the 12 and maybe even hampering the 9. So she'll be looking to deal with that at her earliest opportunity. I'm not too sure if she'll get there from this though.
Well, she can play on and off the side rail for the 12, which is a problem ball at this moment in time. And that's exactly what she's tried there. Although, yeah, that is not good enough for the 12 at least. So this time around, likely to be the 13 in the right center pocket. That will definitely go in the right center pocket. And the 12, well, she is looking at the 12. This is a much tougher shot than the 13 in the middle. She's not playing about. Going straight for the juggernaut here.
Oh, I think she's made it.
Yep, that's a nice shot by her, by the way. And
That was
I
a very nice
believe
shot.
13 is still potable in the left center pocket. I think she can see enough of that, otherwise she wouldn't be at the other side of the table. Great shot there.
Yeah, great shot. Avoided the 9. Kept the cue ball in a good position. And if she can, as you say, see this 13 into the centre, well, she's given herself every chance.
Yeah, and this is exactly the point, right? Once you are playing one of the top players, the favorite, this is exactly the type of start you need. Keeping the pressure on Pia. Just run your own racks, and oh, she's made a mess of that. I'm sure she didn't play position for the 10, which indicates she's been way too short for the 11. And yeah, well, she can't pot a ball from this position. And she must be fuming on the inside.
Yeah, you're right, Aya. No obvious pots at all here. And not even anything that I would consider for the brave, so Sandra just having a look at maybe a 1 cushion onto the 11 there. But we did see her unsuccessfully attempting to get out of a safety before, where she used 2 rails. Oh, and not only has she missed her ball there, but she scratched the cue ball as well, which adds the extra dimension of Pia getting this ball in her hand. And that will be exactly what Pia would want at this stage.
Yeah, good call there, Gethin. Again, when she was faced with a kick shot, she failed to hit the object ball, consequently giving Pia ball in hand for a second time after a kick shot. And this is exactly what Pia was hoping for. Nice clear-cut chance.
Yeah, and Sandra's done Pia a favour here by potting many of her own balls and ensuring that Pia doesn't have as much traffic to contend with for her pattern, so Pia will be looking to get this rack back. Yeah, and maybe we'll elect to take the 4 to the 7 and then leave herself the 6 to get on the 8. Certainly looks like that's how she's played this. just able to pop that cue ball over far enough so that the 8 doesn't come into play. And, well, I'm not too sure if Sandra could have seen that 10 to nick an edge off of it, but she elected to play the one railer onto the 11, missing it completely. And you have to start thinking that these unforced errors are really giving Pia the chance to stay in this match. So maybe if Sandra can snuff them out. However, it's not to be in this rack. Pia Filler brings the score back to 3 apiece. And we have as a match.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mustn't forget, Pia is still failing to convert anything on her break. The 3 racks she's put on the board have all come by an error from Sandra. You know, twice she's failed to make contact after a kick shot, and the other time she miscued. Well, she had a ball in over the left bag, middle bag, and gave Pia a ball in hand. But so far, Pia still not really breaking as she would like to. But she's getting 2 chances now to put that to bed.
Yes, you're right. And again, as we look back through the replay there, Sandra played some great shots, but just let herself down at the end there. And Pia, not needing to be asked twice, steps in and cleans up the rack nicely. So here we go, Arya, race to 8, 3 apiece. Pia Filler to start her set of 2 breaks.
Yeah, this time she does make both of the second balls in the middle pocket.
Yeah, and if anything, I would say that was slightly softer than her previous one, so great timing. And you have to say, the solids do look quite tasty here. That 3 might just be playing on her mind a little bit down there.
Let me ask you this, Kethin. When you're in an arena where it's open, so you have a clear view on an other table, is that something you prefer, or do you actually prefer to be in a closed setting where you can only focus on your match?
Well, I have to say, I've not really been in the situation where I've not been playing around other tables, so I have to say I grew up playing in British pubs, which is where you'll find the majority of the pool tables in the UK, and you'll be hard pushed to find anywhere quiet to play pool unless you're in there when it's closed. So I don't mind a little bit of activity around. One thing I can guarantee you I've never had, which these players are now contending with, is just having a couple of TV cameras, video cameras around the table, moving, making the odd noise. Our production team, very professional and certainly well experienced enough to handle it so that they don't interrupt play, but there's always something in the corner of your eye to be concerned about, or rather to have to ignore. But for watching at home, it's great to have such a quiet arena. You can pick up on all the little words exchanged between the players. As you could hear there, you could also hear the referee just warning Pia about the time. Both players have 1 extension to call per rack. But Pia, after making 2 balls off the break has elected to go solids. And I think she just needs to stun a little bit back for this 3, and I believe this has opened up for her lovely. Yeah, I think she's going to need to just, if she's going to take this 3, yeah, just play it round the 2 angles, short rail to long rail, but needs to be careful because she does need to bring the cue ball back down here for shape on the... Sorry, for shape on the 8. Oh. Elected with 1 cushion and gave the 15 a nice little nudge. I think Pia's looking at finding the gap there between the 10 and the 9 ball to be able to play the 8 ball into this bottom left pocket. And she's done that eloquently. If you want to be a bit critical, the cue ball is a little close to the long rail, but Pia's put herself in very good position here. Whoa, and she takes the lead. 4 frames to 3 with a great 8 ball and break and run. Really turning up the pressure now.
Absolutely. Textbook.
You feel this is just what Pia needs to be able to peak at the right time to win both of her games of her 2-rack set. Would be of vital importance. As we just have a little look back at some of the shots Pia made. And this 8 ball was certainly no gimme. She stayed down on the shot wonderfully. And a little look up from Pia, maybe just starting to believe the game is now coming to her. Has been trailing for most of this match, now finds herself 1 rack in front, and she'll be wanting to extend that to 2 with her next break. Race to 8, the Estonian Open, semi-finals of the 8 ball. Well, it did look like that was running dry if you'd have kept your eye on that 7, but a ball has dropped. As we can see there, oh, the 5 ball got a friendly kick, and it needed it because that 7, although it was tracking towards the centre pocket, did not drop. So Pia still at the table, and for the second break of her set, finds herself still at the table. And in the last one, she was able to break and run. So are we watching Pia shift into a higher gear here? She's just taking a little bit of time. She's called her extension, clearly. I think she was looking for the shape on the 3 there, and that 15 may be hampering her. can see from that camera angle, it is rather close, so may have to take the 4, which she has, and she got down and played it rather quick, maybe due to time. However, that 3 is kicked out rather nice, and the cue ball into also a good position, so looking for her next ball, which may likely be the 6 down the long rail. Which she has finished on rather nicely.
Just drop the 6 in. Let the cue ball do its work.
I'm just worried if that cue ball finishes against the cushion, she's not going to be able to screw off that 2, so maybe she wants to leave an angle so she can push through and just nubble on the 14 perhaps. She may have just done that. Oh, well, it was a tricky shot, Arya, and it looked like she was going to push into the 14 to hold. However, caught the right hand side of it, and even if the pot was made, was not going to have a shot on her penultimate ball. So we see Sandra back at the table and quickly looking to come over to this side of this cluster of 2 balls. However, that cue ball's gone very close to the cushion. Well, she makes the pot. A slight compromise on position there. Oh, played that 11, lovely. A crucial shot, and the cue ball is still just running away from her a little bit here. However, she does have the 15. Referee just having a quick, paying a bit closer attention for where the cue ball is. Oh, looked a little bit snatchy, that Arya.
Yeah, that looked like a miscue, if anything.
Did she get away with it though? Covering off.
I don't think
the
so.
2.
If she can just swerve around the 13, use the long rail, and that automatically will give her a path towards the 1.
Ooh, just didn't pick up the spin. She was able to avoid the stripe, but just didn't catch the swerve and spin that she intended. And well, you could say that Sandra came out a little bit lucky there. Oh, that's a game of millimeters there, Arya.
Yeah. I'm happy I didn't say the follow-up I had in mind. I was about to say she would be very annoyed if she doesn't make contact with the 2. Well, that is exactly what happened.
Yeah, and Sandra will be very happy. Taking one against Pia's break here.
Well, I guess it's a testament to her game, isn't it? That I haven't got the impression that Pia is still, settling and getting in her stride, and yet it's still 4-all. So there's a lot of time left for her to find a game and really pick up the pace. But so far, it's all stop-start stuff, really.
Yes, indeed. It is making for a close match, though, and that can only be good for us in the commentating booth and at home. However, I get the feeling that both of these players are looking to try and now take this match by the grip of the neck and start taking a lead of more than one rack. But quite important there, Sandra winning one against the break. Could be pivotal for the rest of this match as we just take a little look at the other TV table there against the home favourite Dennis Graber, who is playing Germany's Yuma Dorner. And Dennis still maintaining his lead there. He leads Yuma by 6 racks to 4. As we bring you back to our semi-final between Sandra Baumgartner and Pia Filler. And we find it neck and neck at 4-4. Well, she threaded that nicely to stay for the 5. But Sandra taking a close inspection there. Does the 5 go into that corner pocket past the 9? I think it's tight, Aya. Just the added pressure of the shot clock there, but Sandra not daunted, making a great pot past the 9 ball there. And Sandra not letting Pia get out into the lead, which could be a very, very good ploy by her, and she regains the lead by 5 racks to 4 in this race to 8, and we are slowly getting to the business end of this match. And Sandra is holding her composure rather well, considering. So, all to play for, but Sandra keeping the advantage with her 1 frame lead, as we just take a quick look at the other table with Dennis Graber up at the table. Looks like he's just closed out that rack. So I will just do a quick check on the score, and I think that will be Dennis taking a 7-4 lead. As we just come back to Sandra, I have to say, Aya, full kudos to her. She's clearly played well to get to the semi-final stages, and she's not let up. And she's kept Pia trailing, which may not be a position Pia is too fond of, or rather used to. So this one is spicing up rather nicely. Sandra Baumgartner to break. She leads in this race to 8 by 5 racks to 4. Well, she's smiling there. She's made a ball. In fact, she made 3 stripes in that break. However, she could have asked for a nicer cue ball. She does have shape on this 11. And with all of them stripes being potted off the break, you feel that if she makes this, she has a good chance to continue, which she has done. And without wanting to jinx it, I feel that this is well within Sandra's reach here. Only 3 remaining stripes after that quality break. So, eyeing up her shape for this 10 ball. And she does want to be careful, because if she does screw back too far, that 1 ball may come into play. So, we'll be happier having a bit more of a thinner angle on it, if she has to. And even though she contacted the 3 there, she's played that rather well and has come out into a very handy position. Will she avoid the 2, ladies and gentlemen? Well, she didn't, but that cue ball has sat perfectly for Sandra, and this will be a very telling rack for her. And at this stage of the match, Sandra Baumgartner takes a 2-rack lead against Pia Filler in the semi-final of this ladies' 8-ball event at the Estonian Open. And she will sit in her chair rather content with the situation, I fear. As we just take a look around at the arena, I was just keeping you abreast of the other live stream table, as you can see in the background there, between the local favourite Dennis Graber and a very much in form Germany's Yuma Dorner. And Dennis still appears to be maintaining that 7-4 lead. So both these matches keeping relatively close. As we just see a little roundup of the highlights from the last rack. Sandra will be very happy, I fear, with the 6-4 lead. Pia now begins her set of breaks. And the best she can do here is bring it back to 6 apiece, and I'm sure that's what she wants to do. Oh, where's the cue ball going? Just lost the cue ball into the centre pocket there. Does make a stripe that falls in on top of it, but that's not going to be good enough for Pia, I'm afraid. And that is not what she wanted at this stage of the match. As you see there, the cue ball just grabbing and tracing over to that middle pocket, giving Sandra a ball in hand. And the balls, for a change, as we've not been seeing this so much in the match, have spread open here, and our Austrian has a very good look. Electing to go solids, I have to say. I think she's made the right choice there. Maybe wanted a bit more angle off this 4. But has screwed it back well. She just gently played the cue ball down in this direction, looking to maybe clear this 7 ball out of the way to open up the pathway for the 2. A little gentle cut, but the cue ball should be tracking around 2 rails quite nicely. Well, she's played the pace great, but she didn't make the pot. And that is an unforced error, which you feel she doesn't need to be making if she wants to close this match out. So Pia back to the table as we have a little look at that. Just a bit fat. This is a big rack for Pia. It would be the difference between Sandra going to the hill and only a 6-5 deficit for Pia. I'm sure that would be in the back of the mind, but making a useful cut, keeping good shape on the cue ball. Yeah, as we get a good view of the Aramith balls there and the action that Pia got off that cue ball. brought it back to the center of the table, which is always a good ploy. Coming down to pick off the 13 here, leaving the 9 and the 14 remaining, and I think she's played that very well. Not looking to do too much with the cue ball here. Yes, lovely. A very clean plot. And didn't move the cue ball too much. Has a beautiful shape on this 9 now, and just having to inspect the 8. Oh, and a very handy knock onto the 2 there to hold for a straight shot on this 8 ball. And if our Austrian fans were thinking Sandra was about to steal a march, Pia has put that to rest as she takes our 11th rack in the semi-final. She now trails by 6 racks to 5. And it appears that Pia is going to now use that for her rest break of 5 minutes as we look at these highlights. And yes, was very unlucky there with the cue ball and gave Sandra a great opportunity but couldn't convert. And if she could, that would have been the hill. And as it stood, Pia didn't need asking twice, and she reduced the deficit to 1. As we look out across the arena, it looks like we also have a break on the other table. And just to give you a little update of the scores there, Dennis Graber is leading by 8 racks to 4 against Yuma Dorna from Germany in the first of the men's semi-finals. The second to come, an all-German affair between the in-form Stefan Kasper and, well, he needs no introduction, Joshua Filler. So that match will be played in an hour from now, we hope. Both semi-finals being brought to you after these two. And just to give you a heads up on the ladies' second semi-final, we have another Austrian, Yasmin Ushan, and she's taking on Spain's Teresa Maria Ropero. And please be aware that both these matches will be streamed on our Pro Billiard TV live streams, bringing to you these wonderful Predator productions of the Estonian Open. And both Aya and myself hope that you have been enjoying both the games and our commentating. And if you are enjoying it, please do like, share and subscribe. And if you have any burning questions, I cannot promise we'll be able to answer them, but we are keeping a little eye on the message board in the YouTube chat there. But I fear we have many a pool brain in there to get early answers in. But thank you for the interaction there. It really does make this all that bit more enjoyable. And Sandra Being made to sit in a seat for the moment and just think about the opportunity that she just missed to get to the hill. Pia returning from her respite and to take the second of her set of 2 breaks. Pia Filler trailing by 6 racks to 5, race to 8, women's semi-final. Well, Pia's having a closer inspection. As we can see from the replay, she is tracking them balls towards the centre pocket and has made one. Stays at the table. And looking at a good chance to bring this match back to 6-6. You could just see her willing that cue ball just to slow down a little bit, which it looks like it has done. Stripes are looking rather nice here. A little bit of a disturbance for Pia there. Not the time to have a disruption. She just needs to recompose herself here. And if you've only just joined us, our players are under the shot clock here. Both players allowed 1 extension per rack. Pia taking hers there. Well, she got a lot of bite from that cue ball. And just a gentle shake of the head. I'm not too sure she wanted to come back that far, but as it is, she's left with a very tricky 15 here. Plays the cut very well. I think she's just finished the wrong side of this 10 if she wanted to come back over to the right side of the table as we look at it at home. So we'll need to move the cue ball a bit. Maybe just have a look to see if the 12 would go up into that middle bag where the blue 2 is. Very difficult shot.
Might have to punch this one in.
Ooh, she did do that, Aya, but that cue ball has just misbehaved a little. I think she was playing to come underneath and put that 12 in that exact pocket. This is a thin cut, Aya.
Yeah, this is a horrible shot. 1 out of 10 shot, really.
Oh, I was just wondering if she was playing that 12 off 2 balls there to get it into the middle pocket, expecting a little carom off the first one and then a bigger carom off the second. Great vision. Didn't work out.
been a tough day at the office for Pia, has to be said.
It might just get a bit tougher here if Sandra's put her in trouble. Well, she has called it into the centre pocket near the one ball. She would just be delighted to hit it. Oh, and well, we saw a few from Sandra, and this is a rare one from Pia too. Missing the one rail escape. Now that cluster of 4 down there look rather ugly, Ardia, but I think with taking this long 5, she'll certainly open up the 4.
Worrying signs for the Pia fans out there. And it's not been going her way at all this match. It's been a struggle all the way through, has to be said.
Yeah, correct, Aya, and the sign of good champions are those that can overcome the gritty games. And we've seen Pia do it before. However, will Sandra have something to say about that? Well, I have to say, it's not the easiest of clearances she's been left with here, but she certainly started off in the right fashion, and with good position off this 3, she may get to open up the pocket for this one ball to come down the rail.
Likely to use either the 2 or the 6 after this shot.
Yeah, and I think the 6 passes. It clearly does from that angle.
So maybe a case to try and kill the cue ball, leave yourself a nice angle on the 2, to swing your cue ball on the other side of the table, to take the 1 as the last ball to play position on the 8. And has to be said, this is a great opportunity for Sandra to get on the hill first.
Yeah, and you feel if she gets a good shape on this 1, she doesn't need to do too much with the cue ball to leave a relatively straight 8 ball into that corner pocket in the bottom right of our screen as we look at the screen now. Well, it looked like Pia Filler was mounting the comeback, and Sandra has snuffed that out. She takes this 12th rack in this race to 8. She leads by 7 racks to 5, and Sandra finds herself on the hill, my man.
Yeah, so first thing first, Pia really needs to improve on her game overall, really. It's been a very frustrating afternoon for her. But will she get another opportunity? That's the main question here right now.
Yeah, I think that's the question that's on the tips of our tongues at the moment. And I know we will have a lot of Pia fans watching right now who will be considering these as alarm signs, but as both you and I know, Pia will have found herself in this position before and she won't be daunted by that. She has had a lot of pool played over the last 2 weeks. Just one last push for both these players now. But Sandra Baumgartner finding herself leading by 7 racks to 5 on the hill, race to 8. Could be breaking for the match. Looked like she made the 11 ball, Arya.
Yeah, so looking at this layout, I'd much rather have the stripes. Again, the cue ball threaded the middle pocket.
Yeah, it did. It threatened, but didn't drop. And if you ask Sandra what she would take off her break on the hill, I think she would have your arm off at this. Not the most straightforward of layouts, but certainly not the most difficult one she's faced today. Well, I don't know if she intended to or not, but she's left a perfect gap for the 4 ball here, which will release the 6 into both pockets. Well, the full credit when it's due, because Sandra has kept herself composed throughout this match, and with both ups and downs, her face has pretty much remained as straight as ever. So as much as I wouldn't want to play pool against her, I also would not want to play poker against her.
Yeah, well, if she does manage to put these remaining solid balls and the 8, of course, to book her place in the final, it wouldn't be her first time in a Eurotour final, because earlier in 2025, back in February, she reached the final in the Italian Open in Treviso, although didn't manage to win the trophy there, but it's looking like she'll get another bite at the cherry here, Gethin.
Yeah, you start to think that this Sandra has got a taste for the finals. Just blowing her nose. Doesn't want to be disrupted for this shot, but doesn't need to do too much with this Arya. She's left herself 2 lovely shots here to get on the 8 ball.
Wrong angle here on the 7 to play position for the 8 in the middle, and it's just short to see the corner pocket. Let's have a look. Yeah, so the 8 does not pass the 15, so she still needs to pull out one more good positional shot here. Now obviously it's likely going to be maybe off 2 or 3 rails. So she's happy to leave herself the cut on the 8. A very makeable cut, has to be said. This is for the match. Well, Pia, this is your time to wake up and Well, firstly, look at the 8-ball. It's landed in
Yeah.
not of the best spots of the table.
Oh, Sandra,
28.
so close. That was close, Aya. And if Sandra thought that was the finish line, well, it's not. And let's see what Pia has to say about that.
Yeah, you know what? I was actually thinking, or I wanted to ask you this: where the 12 was, she just putted. She could have called safe, and maybe put the cue ball on the long rail to put Sandra back in. Of course, you are giving the initiative to your opponent, but you know it's highly unlikely she'll put it. Let's say from the first diamond. That's below her chalk. But that way you're kind of like forcing her to disturb the 8. Well, she's definitely she is forcing Sandra to at least try to disturb the 8. So I back her with this decision.
I think, though, the earlier choice you identified earlier would have made getting out of this a bit trickier. Oh! Whoa! I'm sorry, Aya, but that nearly went. What a jump shot from Sandra there. She called it, she made it, or at least made the jump, and that 8-ball was tracking right up that long rail. Let's have another look at this. Oh! Well, you won't get closer than that, Aya. What a jump shot.
Yeah, good effort, that's for sure. Well, based from this position, you'd be inclined to think, try to drop the 14 in, that weight. So basically, obviously you don't want to miss the pot, but if you do, the cue ball should land somewhere on the top rail, the position on the 10. But of course, she has left the bank shot. Sandra not hesitating to call which shot she's going for. So keep an eye on this right center pocket. This is, again, for the match.
And I thought it might be sneaking into that corner pocket for an upset for Sandra there, but it hasn't.
Well, 3 times she's now called the 8, and 3 times she's hit at least one jaw, just to indicate how close she's been away from the victory.
Yes, she has rubbed the edges of them both middle pockets there with the 8-ball.
Could have played that a bit better though, has to be said. Left her cue ball in a spot where the next pot isn't a guarantee.
No. Not leaving herself much margin for error either. But Pia does thrive in these situations. You have to say, she's played that very well. All considering where we are at this stage of the match. So, Pia Fella is just eyeing up how she wants to end up on this 9-ball from the 14. She's
For
come
those
off
who
2
did not
rails.
know, Dennis Grabbe, a local hero, has booked his place in the final. Or am I wrong? He might be at the table actually.
We will just double check that now. As Pia takes on this 9-ball to leave herself on the 8 to bring this scoreline back to 7-6. And Sandra Baumgartner, who's had 3 good chances to close this match out, I say good, but they were chances, has not converted them, and in turn, maybe a little bit unexpectedly against the play, Pia is still in it. She trails Sandra by 7 racks to 6.
My
However,
bad.
she's still in it.
Yeah, he's at the table, Dennis. He was 9-4 in front, but now it's 9-7, so also that match is very tight.
Yeah, Dennis just looking to get over the finish line there. He is at the table, as we can see. Strapping fella. But bringing it back to this ladies' semi-final, are you? You cannot count Pia out. Sandra has, by all accounts, been the stronger player, if you have to be honest about it. And I also feel she's probably been the better off with the breaks. And this is her second of her set of 2 breaks. And if she isn't able to convert this, she will leave it to Pia to break Hill-Hill. So, how important will this be, Aya?
No, absolutely spot on, Gethin. Yeah, of the 2 players, she has, well, we don't have a stat for that, but I can guarantee you she's dominated the table time spent at the table, because we've mainly seen her in action, but somehow, without even playing anywhere near her best game, Pia is still within contention, and she will get another chance to pull this match towards the deciding Hill-Hill.
Yeah, the cue ball has locked onto the 10 here, which is only really giving Pia sight of the solids here. So being forced slightly. However, a quick review does tell us that the solids are in good position here. So although Pia forced to have to go for them, she does have a very good opportunity here, Aya. Just using that 14 as a blocker to hold for this 5.
A little bit surprised there. I thought she would pot the 3.
A lot of clapping going on in the arena there. Pia just waiting for it to stop. Yeah, awkward queuing, but made it and has left a good shape on this 4. As you can see from the overhead there, Arya, the 7 doesn't pass the 12 into the bottom right pocket, so Pia playing the correct shot here to come down this side of the 7.
Yeah, so when you look at the table here, 7-1 and the 3, it's actually sitting really nicely to play position on the 8, so this is a great chance not only to keep her hopes alive in this match, somehow from somewhere she finds herself in a position to be favorite to run out this match.
Exactly, and a sign of a true professional are those that can conquer adversity, and when the momentum and the run of play can go against you, maintaining composure, keeping your head in it, and still converting your opportunities. And we have Pia Filler here, edging her way closer to a Hill-Hill finale here in the semi-finals. And I may have made a bit of a presumptive call earlier on, right at the beginning of this match, just to try and trigger a bit of reaction from my co-commentator, but this could go Hill-Hill, and we will have been blessed with 2 Hill-Hills in that case in the last 2 matches we've had to commentate, Arya.
Doesn't want to be too smart here with the cue ball, just a very small drawback for the 8. Yeah, just like that. See, if she would have tried to draw the cue ball for the 8 in the middle, that 11 would have been a big nuisance. This way she was guaranteed to have a good shot on the 8. Like her way of thinking, good shot selection there under the pressure. I mean, yeah, well, she's trying to compose herself. She's not going to miss this ball. There we have it.
Well, I have to say, if I was a betting man about 2 racks ago, I would not have taken Hill-Hill as my decision. High five from the players. But as we have found out, and this format of 2 racks per set for these players, we've got ourselves a Hill-Hill thriller. And it's anyone's game, you would have to say. With Pia having the break, she will glean an advantage from that. But that wasn't necessarily the case earlier in the match, so this is the time to turn it on. Pia certainly showing some form right at the end of this match. Will it be enough form to get her over the winning line and both feet into our final today? That remains to be seen, Arya. Are we going to be brave?
Yeah, well, let's see if she can A, pot a ball off her break, and B, have anything on to try and finish off this match. I think she'll be the first to admit it's far from her best performances. Ooh, look at that. A quote-unquote soft break. That was definitely a soft break.
She has had a few of them today, Arya, in this match, and mostly to similar success, with potting balls in the middle pocket, and both of them being stripes. Sadly, she doesn't have a real good look at the stripes here to take advantage of them. Now they are 2 less on the table, but nevertheless, Pia with a soft yet effective break, and it's still at the table.
You can see the concentration in her eyes. Considering how she's plowed through the field in the European Championships, this might be even one of her best performances, not in terms of quality wise, just to overturn the match, because all the way through she was, on the backbone. She wasn't really back foot, I should say, sorry. She wasn't really showing any of her usual weapons. And to be in this position and, you know, give yourself a good chance to close out the match is something to be proud of. Because, you know, it's all fun and games when you're playing your A game, you're winning. It's about being able to win even if you're completely off. And that's something that's only reserved for the very best of the game.
Yep. I have to agree, Aya, and Pia just flicked off that 10, and whether it was helpful or not, the cue ball's just run up against this cushion, just putting a little bit of an extra degree of difficulty on this shot for Pia. Didn't batter an eyelid, and after taking this one ball, she finds the rest at the other end of the table. Where does that leave the 8, though?
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say, if we slowly but surely look forward and presume she will slot these remaining solid balls, then the question remains, what's the obvious pocket for the 8? Right now, first glance, I'd have to say both of the center pockets. So maybe that's one of the reasons why she is trying to leave the 6 as the last solid to play position on the 8.
Yeah, that's a very good call there, Aya. With looking down the line of that 6 ball into the corner pocket where you see Pia right now, she could gently roll through for this 8. Still has 3 other balls to contend with first, but that's the way to open it up. And she's left herself a nice little stop shot here. I have to say,
she is in
this is
prime
looking
control
good.
here. Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, if she fails to run this out from this position, she will be devastated.
Well, full credit to Sandra. She got herself to the finish line, which is no mean feat against an informed Pia filler. However, the way the breaks format has worked, Pia gets to break this Hill-Hill match.
Yeah, see, this is a clever way of playing position. When you look at it, the cue ball is now coming into the line of the path of where she wants to play position with a cue ball. Rather than stunning it in without using a rail, this way she's more or less guaranteed herself that she can't really hook herself on the 6. And she's got enough angle to screw it back a diamond just like that, and somehow from somewhere she is likely becoming the first player in the female bracket to book her place in the final. And what a thrilling game it has been getting. Never really looked in full flow, but somehow she's still done it. Like here you can see, it's a pure relief from Pia. Yeah, she can really be proud of that because she was far from her best, but nevertheless she books her place in the final. On behalf of my dear colleague Gethin and myself, Arya, we'd like to thank you for your attention and involvement in this match. As we see Pia once again very happy. We'll be back shortly with the next semifinals. Of course, again, we'll have one of the men's semifinals and one of the ladies semifinals on either of the tables. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel and we'll be back shortly live. Bye for now.
Dings vorher gegeben.